Hey, what's going on? I stayed up really late last night. Basically, what this video is about is knowing your bottom line in business. Big part of running any kind of business is knowing your bottom line, knowing what it costs to operate your business. And I feel more importantly, knowing what it costs for your whole life. I took it a step further, and that's what I did. And what I mean by that, every single expense that I have, I mean, gas bill, light bill, car note, food, entertainment, money to the side for whatever, just money to the side for savings, money to the side for anything. Buying a dog, if I say, again, entertainment. I mean, I took every single thing in my life, giving money to the kids. I mean, everything, okay? Every single, you look at, what I did was I looked at my life and said, what do I spend on a monthly basis? And I calculated that down, including the truck, everything, okay? And I came up with a number on a monthly basis. I times that by 12, and then that gave me a big number, okay? I then divided that into 52 by 52, and then that gave me a weekly number. I didn't stop there. That's not all my expenses. So then I have fuel. See, now most drivers, what they would do to get their bottom line, and you do what you want, but I wanted a true number of what my life cost me per mile, okay? And so most drivers would just take, their fuel mileage and say, well, my truck gets $5, 5 gallons, 5 miles per gallon, okay? And this is what it costs me to operate my truck, whatever, at $3 a gallon, they come up with a number. But what I did was I took every single thing. I wanted a true number for what my life cost me, not just my business, but my entire life, okay, to the best of my ability, including taxes. That was a number that I also added in there, okay? All right, so like I said, lights, gas, cell phone bill, entertainment, if you have child support, your entertainment, if you go out to eat a lot, or money on the road, okay? You calculate all of that. If you have rent or a mortgage, calculate that. If you're putting away for a savings account, calculate that. You calculate every single dime to the penny. If you can, you sit there, and it may take you some time to really think about the bread you spend. The number may be quite surprising. Okay, so after you have that big number, then you go to and obviously you had your truck note, your truck payment, if you have one, trailer payment, your insurance for your car, your insurance for your truck and stuff like that. Then we get to the fuel, okay? So mind you, I have this huge number over here, huge to me, that I have over here for what my life outside of my fuel mileage, what it cost me. So I have that number sitting over there, right? Then I go to the fuel. When I looked it up, the national average for fuel costs right now for diesel fuel is like $3.15. And again, when you're doing these numbers, round up, okay? You rather be over than under. You rather be overestimated than under, because you don't want any surprise. You want a good surprise. You don't want a bad surprise, right? As far as what your bottom line or what kind of money you're sitting on. Okay, so then I went to the fuels. National average about $3.15. I went up from that. I said $3.25. Okay, so what I did was I took the peak, which is coming soon. We'll definitely do a video on that. But I look at the peak because that's a truck. That's my dream truck. That's the truck that I'm going to be, God willing, running the most. So I lowballed that fuel mileage and said it's going to get 5 miles per gallon. Okay. I then said, if I run 2,000 miles, what is my number going to be if I run 2,500 miles, if I run 3,000 miles. But roughly the estimate is probably about 2,500 miles, okay? But to keep the math simple for myself off the cuff, let's say I did all three and what it's gonna cost me. But let's look at the $2,000 miles, okay? So if my truck is getting 5 miles per gallon, okay? In order to run 2,000 miles, you gotta divide the two and you end up with 400, okay? So, what is it, 2,000 divided by 5? You're gonna get 400, right? That means I need 400 gallons of fuel in order to run 2,000 miles with the Pete, okay? Then I took that number, okay, 400, and I times it by the national average, but I went up a little bit to 325, not 315. So 325, they gave me a number, okay? That number told me that is what I'm going to pay in fuel in order to run the miles, the 2,000 miles, okay? Then I took that number, okay, on a weekly basis, running 2,000 miles, there's a number that I need. So I then took that and I added it to the big number of everything else, okay? Added those together, and that gave me the monthly basis, okay? Okay, so that number for the weekly, I guess, well, hold up, I times that by 52, because it's 52 weeks in a year. Then I took that number and then I added it to the yearly number on the other, for the other stuff, the other expenses. Now, when you add all those together, you have your yearly, what is going to cost you if you're only running 2,000. And then, of course, this is an estimate, okay? But you want to start thinking about this stuff because it's very, very important. And I would admonish all you guys to do this and take your business serious. All right, so when I did that, had that big number, I did the same thing. So then I, timed it for kicks. I times it by 12, seeing, what it is monthly. And I divided it into 12, and then I times it back to 12 to get the number, to get the big number, and then I basically times it by 52, okay, make it simple. The biggest number for everything, I divided that into 52, which gave me a weekly number for what my life cost me, okay? Obviously, I'm not about to get into my personal business like that, but I came up with a number, and I was surprised that, roughly my number is about $3 a mile, basically $3. If I'm running, I think if I ran 2,500 miles, I think I need to be at about $3 a mile. And I mean, guess you'll know my business if you do the math of what I need to make in order for me to run my business and keep X amount of money. I mean, everything, savings. Like I said, I tallied everything. So then you have your number. You'll have your weekly number, and then when you have that weekly number, then you can then play with that number and divide it into 2,000, and then that would give you a rate per mile of what your life costs you. You'd be surprised. Do it one time, man. So it's like, go far and beyond for yourself. Go far and beyond for your family. Go far and beyond for your business, and give yourself a real idea of what your life costs you. Because we all have a dollar amount. Unless you're living, in the bush somewhere, or you have a very ascetic life. There's nothing wrong with being frugal. I mean, oftentimes think about cutting back on a lot of stuff, but I like my material trappings. I like the cars. I like the motorcycle. I like when I come home, to have a decent place. I like all that stuff. So it's all good for me. So that's what you do. And then again, I played with it. All right. So what I saw was obviously the more miles that I ran, the lower the number. So if I ran 3,000 miles, then my average, my life would cost me about $2.60. So it dropped down like 40 cents from $3 to about $2.60 if I ran 3,000 miles. So, there it is, man. know your bottom line. Know if you want to just stick to the basics and just do the trucking, that's fine. I went a little bit beyond, far and beyond, to really tally up everything, to tally it all up, to really give me an idea. So when I'm out here playing in this business with these brokers and direct shippers, I know what I need to have, and I can, maybe say, all right, if I took this load up for 400, for $4 a mile, let me see if I take this one going back down for 250 or going over here for 250 a mile, is my average is still gonna be good, and you just kind of work like that. Sometimes what I've noticed, in order to keep, obviously a fuel efficient truck is where you need to be. My Freightliner, Columbia, is getting way better. It's gonna get way better fuel mileage and more aerodynamic truck than obviously a Hood. It's getting, I did one time, it was like 8 miles a gallon, but I'm thinking it's about 7.5. It probably averages about 7.5 miles per gallon, which is great. So there's some things that you can do in order to, hire that. You can cut down, obviously, some of your expenses. If not, then when you go out here and you broker in these loads, you need to, not shortchange yourself. I know one of the things that I would say for myself is I will deadhead and go home, man, if I want to. And that's something that I need to cut out entirely or limit, because that affects my bottom line. That affects my cents per mile. What good does it for me if I get $5 a mile to go to Jersey from South Carolina or North Carolina or Georgia or something like that, if I'm going to just deadhead all the way back home? It just does. So then you basically are cutting that $5.50, leaving you with $2.50. Okay, or it could be worse if you stay further from there than your total distance, right? So, so if you drove 500 miles and got paid $2,500 at $5 a mile, but you deadheaded 700 miles to get home, then that is cut even more than just half. All right. So that's one thing that I need to stop doing. I've done that. Sometimes it's for the good to get back to a hot dollar load, but really and truly, unless the numbers work out, it ain't good. And now I'm starting to realize and think about that. Surprisingly, my life cost me basically what I'm always kind of aiming for, but I'm not always aiming for that if I'm deadheading back, right? So I don't need to do that. So that's definitely something that I'm going to do. And my hat's off to, when I first started, man, and I'm kind of getting on something else, a little rant here. But when I first started, man, they kept that steering wheel real deep in my back, and we all know that. They worked the hell out of you, man. And hey, I guess at the end of the day, I appreciate it. I can imagine if you're in the army, if you've been in the army and service, it was very hard on you, but it instilled in you a lot of discipline and values. But I have strayed away from those values that I used to have. Like, I work hard, but I'm not staying out for 2 weeks. I'm just not doing it. But I've met people, and I'm sure out of the 100 or so people that I've came in contact with who said this, I'm sure some of them is keeping it 100 with me. Like, yeah, man, I'm really about that life. I ain't been home in 3 months. I'm like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a reach for me. Like, me staying out for a week is like, I'm like already having sucker attacks, you know what I'm saying? Missing an old lady at the house, my son, my life, man, you know what I mean? Who wants to sleep, in the back of a truck? But, you're getting paid for it. But when I first started, man, you had to stay out there. If you guys know about this, some of you owner operators are already, man, out here, that when you first started, man, it was like, you had to pay your dues. And a lot of people won't do trucking, won't get into trucking. They look at the end results. They look at the guys with, 5 or 6 trucks, they rolling big money, they look at that and they like, wow, I want that. But do you know what it took that driver in order to accomplish those goals? It wasn't just handed to him. Most of us, it's just not handed to you like that. I have a son, and even my son, you're not about to just jump straight in my truck. I'm just not about to do that. I told him, you're going to have to go to school, um, go tear up somebody else's stuff for about a year and then come holler at me. Okay? Is he going to be willing to do it? I don't know. But if he trying to, if he trying to do it, then he got to show me. But I'm not gonna just straight out of school put you in my truck so you can tear up my transmission. It's just not gonna happen. And man, boy, I done messed up. I think we all done made mistakes. To this day, I still grind gears. It happens. It happens. So, I used to stay out, 2 weeks. I would stay out 14 days when I first started, 12 to 14 days, and be home literally 2 days. I mean, literally 48 hours, and I was back on the road. You know what I mean? And that's something that would help your bottom line. And if you're able to stay out longer, so that way you're able to piece together. So instead of like the smarter thing for me to do, because I'm trying to get back to the home, you know what I mean? It would be smart that if I'm in Georgia, I go to Jersey. Instead of coming back down, I should maybe like run a triangle or like take a load from Jersey to PA. Man, true story. I was just up in Jersey. I passed a load up, bro, that was light load. I think it was like some avocados. And it was 2 stops. It picked up because of the holiday, man. This load picked up Saturday. It picked up Saturday after I was done at Costco's. And it went like, I think all miles, man, including my deadhead, was like 300 miles. And it paid $1,600. You know what I did? Turned it down. I'm like, man, I'm so giddy about getting this truck. I'm like, man, I just want to go ahead. I just want to get home. What was this, Labor Day weekend? Just want to get home, man, and chill. Now, you can do that. You can do that. But again, that's going to affect your bottom line. I should have took that load because when I looked at it, I was like, wow, my bottom, that load was what? So if it paid 16, it was like 533 or something like that a mile. I mean, for 300 miles total, all miles. I'm counting all miles. I don't just count what, the loaded miles. I'm counting all my miles. And that would have had my average at about 350, something like that altogether because I got paid pretty good going up. Well, decent. It wasn't spectacular right now, man. You guys know. So, there it is, man. And that would have been better doing that and then trying to find another one. You know what I'm saying? And try to, like, get closer and closer to home so that your deadhead is much smaller, basically. So instead of deadheading all the way back, if I don't have a hot load that's paying like $7 or something that makes sense to go back, that's not going to adversely affect my bottom line, then I need to like do some short ones just to kind of nickel and dime to get back to your where you want to be, if it's home or whatever. But for those of you guys who are staying out, like you just first started, man, hey, I salute you because it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of oomph, okay, to really stick with this, man. It is not easy, man. And I'm hoping it gets a little lighter on me with a Pete because, with a longer wheelbase, that hood, you're turning like a boat, your turning radius. But it should be a more comfortable ride. I mean, we're getting beat up, man. Those freight shakers, I mean, they call it freight shaker for a reason. It can beat you up. The noise, some people don't know, like the noise can drain you, can make you tired. That's why these cars are boasting about, a quiet cabin. So again, man, for you guys who are staying out, that is a good thing to do because you are maximizing your earnings by doing that. Hey, when you get on the phone with a broker, hey man, where you trying to go? Wherever's paying the most. What's that? Whatever's paying. You know what I mean? That's where I'm going. But understand sometimes, or most times, that if it pays real good to go in, unless you just got a sweet connect, 9 times out of 10 is going to be not so good coming out. like going to Massachusetts. You can, almost all year round, man. You can get paid pretty good to go up into Maine or up in Boston, Massachusetts and stuff like that. But like to get out of there, bro, I mean, it's heavy and it's gonna be cheap. Okay. So again, this video is just about knowing your bottom line. This is something that I did last night. Instead of just saying, oh, well, if fuel is about, you know, $3 and yada, yada, well, I need 50 cents a mile. That's what it costs me to run my truck. I got more than just my truck I need to be responsible, that I am responsible for. I have a lot. I have savings that I have children that I need to take care of. I need to leave them something. I have a business to operate. I have car notes. I have car insurance. I have fuel that I have to put in my personal vehicles, fuel that I need to put in my truck. I have, if you have a rent, you got a mortgage, you have you drinking beer, you got beer, you like, you know, whatever you like, you know, your groceries, you know, you got all of that stuff. You need to know what your life costs you, man. So what does your life cost you? The number may be surprising, but at least when you do this math and you come up with it, and you figure it out, it will give you a pretty good estimate of what you need to be getting out there on these roads. Hey, till next time, man. Be good, be safe, and stay on top. Mr. 18 Toes Down.